Hi, and welcome to episode 2 of MindSpire. Okay, this is my personal video series in which I help you find value in very valuable books. And in our last episode, I discussed a lot of things which I really believe you should check out. I discussed the secrets. I introduced the secret to wealth from the preface of the book Think and Grow Rich. That there is a secret in which those who are ready and willing to acquire wealth and success must understand, must be able to apply before they are able to truly gain wealth, to truly gain this success that many of us find. So now we go into chapter 1 of my video content series MindSpire, and in chapter 1 it is titled The Man Who Thought His Way into Partnership with Thomas A. Edison. Truly, thoughts are powerful things when mixed with a purpose and a burning desire to translate these thoughts into riches or material things. Edwin C. Barnes, the man who thought his way into partnership with Thomas Edison, this man had a great desire to become the partner of late great Thomas Edison. He discovered that men really do think and grow rich. Barnes had a chief characteristic in his nature. He was definite. He was clearly stated, not vague or doubtful. He really wanted to work with Edison, and that desire shaped his mind, plans, and actions. When this desire first flashed into his mind, he was first faced with two difficulties. He did not know Thomas Edison, and he did not have the money necessary to pay the railroad fare to Orange, Jersey. And Orange, Jersey is where Thomas Edison had his business set up, his office and everything. So, in truth, to be honest with you, these difficulties are more than enough to have discouraged the majority of men from carrying out this desire. But this was no ordinary desire. As Barnes had decided to travel by blind baggage, and blind baggage is the part of the freight train where it's part of the train where there is no door or closing, no door to close it up. You're basically just in the middle of a moving train. There's no door closed, there's no service or whatever, anybody serving you, there's no comfortable chairs, you're just on the train going to where you want to go to. So that's the big decision that he had to make. He took on a big risk, one that even Thomas Edison could not overlook. Thomas Edison gave him an opportunity, not because of how he looked, but instead because of how and what he thought. I'm sure Edison had been like, what makes this man so confident to be able to come meet me for an opportunity? And it's not like he had something to prove either. He just wanted to do this. He wanted to achieve his goal, his purpose. Barnes didn't get the partnership with Edison on the first interview. It's something you need to really pay attention to understand. He didn't get the partnership on his first interview. Things don't happen so quickly sometimes. They don't happen. It takes time. He didn't get the partnership with Edison in the first interview, but he remained driven because he did get to work in Edison's office, and even though it was nominal pay, with work that wasn't so important to Edison at the time, he still remained driven and saw it as a way to showcase his craft. While months had gone by without much change externally, but lots had changed in the mind of Barnes to show you that most of the things that go on, it happens in your head. Most of the people that are successful, they are first successful. The shift first happens in their minds, in their thoughts, in what they say, in what they do. So he kept on going with intensifying purpose to achieve his goal of becoming Thomas Edison's partner. And see, psychologists say that when one is truly ready for a thing, it puts in its appearance, it shows. When you're ready for something, it shows. So, one thing I've learned from Barnes in this paragraph is that you must stay adequately ready for whenever the opportunity arises, and that is exactly what he did. Moreover, he was determined to remain ready until it eventually came. It's a lot to take in, but trust me, this is important. Very, very important, and you don't want to miss a single line of what I'm about to say. You need a definite purpose, something that keeps you going no matter what. So often and so many times, people give up so easily when faced with stagnation, failure, and redirection. But the man who says, no matter what, even if it takes me the remainder of my life, I will achieve this freaking goal. Sorry for my language. Okay, so, but funny enough, when the opportunity does finally come, it can come right through the back door in a way that's not even expected, or something sometimes just ignored. Edison created a new invention. He called it the Ediphone, and most of his salesmen had doubts concerning how well it would sell in the market. But Barnes saw and thought differently. He saw his opportunity and the potential for the Ediphone, a dictating office device, by the way. This is how it looks like. Barnes knew he could sell the Ediphone, and he suggested it to Edison, and sure enough, he was able to sell it. He sold it so well that Edison gave him the opportunity to distribute and market it all over the nation. As a result of this, the slogan made by Edison and installed by Barnes was born. The partnership between Edison and Barnes had lasted for many years, and as a result of this, he made himself filthy rich by a singular act: to think and grow rich. While it is not stated the actual monetary value that the desire to work with Edison had brought to Barnes, it could be $2 to $3 million or more. And as an estimate of what Edison and Barnes had made from with Edison, the amount of money he has amassed is nothing compared to the greater value of knowing that an intangible impulse of thought and desire has the ability to create physical results with the application of known principles. Nothing but the desire to know what Barnes wanted, and the desire to stand with and walk towards it till he achieved it. That's what made him successful. In this first scenario, Barnes had no money, no influence. The only thing he had were initiative, faith, and the will to win. With these intangible forces, he made himself the number one man of Thomas Edison. In the coming paragraphs, we look at an entirely different example. A man who had all the tangible assets that Edwin C. Barnes didn't have, but at the end of the day, this person still lost it all. He lost the assets, lost the opportunity, but because he stopped 3 feet short of the goal he was pursuing. He had all the tangible assets that Edwin C. Barnes didn't have, but he still stopped so short of the goal. He stopped, he gave up. Something that Barnes didn't do. The next part of this summary review, is 3 feet from gold. The author, Napoleon Hill, speaks about or narrates a story for us. A story about, this is a real life story by the way, a story about Darby, R.G. Darby, and his uncle, how they stopped short just 3 feet from gold. Now, he explains that one of the most common causes of failure occurs when people are faced with temporary defeat. In this story, R.G. Darby and his uncle went to mine some gold. They went to look for a source of wealth, because at the time gold was booming, gold mining was booming, everybody sought after gold, and they got caught up in what the author calls gold fever. After some time of digging and toil, he was finally rewarded with the discovery of the shining ore, which he needed a specific kind of machinery to be able to extract the main gold mineral from. And to get this machinery, he had to go back home to Williamsboro. He went back home to Williamsboro, Maryland, and he was able to gather up some money for the machinery from some of his friends and families. He was able to gather up the machinery. At the end of the day, he took it back to the mining site, and they started the mining process. At this point, you can say that he did take a chance on himself. He did take a risk, a chance on believing that he could make it big in mining. He could make it big in the gold sector, because he had the support, the resources. He had someone else with him to help him, be able to achieve this goal he sought after. So when they moved the machinery down from Williamsboro to the mining site, and when they began mining for the gold, when the first cart of gold was mined and taken to the smelter, the results proved that they had one of the richest mines in the whole of Colorado, and a few more carts of gold would be enough to clear the debt that they had incurred for themselves when they went to their family and friends to get money for the machinery. But something happened along the way. Darby and his uncle's hopes of amassing wealth had shot up so much, especially when they saw the first cart of gold. It shot up, sure, but then the vein of gold, the vein that they were mining the gold from, had disappeared, and they panicked. They drilled desperately because of fear of not being able to recover the losses they had incurred from the loans from their different friends and families. Um, because of that, they panicked. They drilled desperately. They didn't think. They were impulsive. And that's impulsiveness eventually led them to make one decision. They quit. They sold the machinery to a junk man for a few $100s and took the first train back home. Now, some junk men are dumb, but not this guy. He hired a mining engineer to take a look at the mine and run some calculations. Now, some junk men are dumb, but not this one. He went on to find a mining engineer who he brought into the mine, and the engineer did some calculations, did his findings, and reported back to him that the project had previously failed because the owners were not familiar with fault lines. Now here's the kicker. His calculations found that the vein would be found just 3 feet from where Darby's had stopped drilling. The junk man took millions of dollars from that mine simply because he knew to seek expert opinion before giving up. That's the most important thing. Although Darby didn't go alone, he didn't have the needed or required level of expertise to be able to know that, okay, to be able to ask questions as, okay, why had this vein suddenly disappeared? Why is this no longer here? Who do I need to bring in to show me what I am looking for? Because he did not have any prior knowledge of that. His uncle didn't. But then a junk man, a simple junk man, took that opportunity and made millions of dollars from that gold mine in Colorado. And most of the money procured from the machinery was gotten from R.G. Darby, who was a young man at the time, and money from most of his relatives and neighbors, like I said, his friends and families. He had to pay it back, and unfortunately it took him years to do so. But long afterwards, Darby was able to recover most of the losses that he had incurred when he discovered that desire can be transmuted to gold. The discovery came after he went into the business of selling life insurance, and the losses that he incurred from the gold business had forever changed how he approached anything else. In his own words, I stopped 3 feet from gold, but I will never stop because men say no when I ask them to buy life insurance. The lessons he learned from his first failed business, he used to become part of a small group of men who sell more than $1 million in insurance. Before success is realized, first, there is a period of challenges and temporary defeat, at which many men give up and call it quits. But one common thing that over hundreds of the world's most successful people have told the author is that success was already just one more step past the point of defeat. Success was just one more step past the point of defeat. What are you going to A 50-cent lesson in persistence. Shortly after Darby had received his degree from the University of Hard Knocks, he was at his uncle's farm when he had the good fortune of experiencing a moment which had proved to him that no does not necessarily mean no. It happened one afternoon when Darby and his uncle were in the barn, and they encountered a very persistent little colored girl who absolutely wouldn't go home no matter how many times she heard no, until Darby's uncle gave her 50 cents, of which her mother had asked for. Darby explains that the lessons of resilience that he learned from this little girl played no small part in his great success in selling insurance. He reminisces on the fact that most of the sales he made came after the person had already said no. The audacity to persist, to offer, even when someone says no, even when someone says get out, leave their face, get out of there. I think this is where the real magic happens, because many stop when faced with their first obstacle. Many give up when things don't go their way immediately, and that's something that is very consistent when it comes to long-term businesses particularly, because you're definitely going to have a lot of rejection, a lot of no's that are going to be coming your way, lots of leave, lots of I don't want this, lots of negativity. But then you finding that positivity in yourself and believing that even if they say no, it does not really mean no. It just means no for now, or no until I'm ready, or no until next month. So at that point, it just looks like, how does it look from your perspective? Or how do you see it as a salesperson? How is it in your mind? So, in a very uncommon fashion, Darby learned this from this little country girl who had the audacity to say no to a scary white man in a barn with, I guess, a tool in his hand. Okay. So Darby also mentions the mistake he made when he quit after having stood 3 feet from gold. A failure that taught him that quitting and giving up is never the answer, but instead to keep going until you've accomplished your goal. The author, Napoleon Hill, drops a valuable suggestion. When riches begin to come, they come so quickly that one wonders where they have been hiding all these lean years. The author drops a valuable suggestion here. He states that when riches begin to come, they come so quickly that one wonders where they have been all these lean years. He states that success comes to those who are success conscious, while failure comes to those who are indifferent and allow themselves to become failure conscious. Napoleon Hill emphasizes on the importance of making intentional efforts towards developing a mindset that is more success conscious. He goes as far as to clip out the word impossible from a dictionary he got. He states that those who remain indifferent and allow themselves to develop a failure consciousness are liable to failure. He mentions that another weakness people make is judging other people's beliefs based on their own limitations or perspective. Believing that someone else cannot achieve certain things just because you can't. Napoleon Hill gives an example of a Chinese man who came to America to study the American ways. And when he was asked what is the prominent feature of the American people, he says that their eyes are a bit off slant, because Chinese have different eyes from Americans and basically the rest of the world, if you pay attention. Napoleon Hill mentions how quick people are to envy. He shifts to another example in Henry Ford. Napoleon Hill mentions how quick people are to envy Henry Ford for his achievements in the automobile industry, but very few people are aware of the real success to his success. This is a real secret to his success. When Henry Ford had the goal to build a V8 motor with over 8 cylinders in one block, his engineers had produced the designs on paper, but they still said it was impossible. And every engineer and every person that he asked said it was impossible, but Henry Ford said no. Henry Ford replied, telling them to do it anyway. He told them that no matter how much time or resources it took, that he wants to have his V8 8-cylinder engine. So the engineers went ahead with it, and over 1 year went by without them seeing any results at all. And at some point, it really looked impossible. When Henry Ford came in to check on their progress, they told him that they had found no way of making his request feasible. But Ford's reply was still the same. I want it, and I will have it. The engineers continued and carried on with Ford's instructions, and then eventually the secret to the V8 engine they had spent so much time searching for was right before them. Ford ultimately did get what he wanted through sheer persistence and determination. And oftentimes that's all it takes. All it takes is that extra mile, that extra effort, that extra bit of desire, and to say no, I will get it no matter what, no matter how long it takes, no matter the sacrifices I have to make along the way. I will achieve my goal. And it worked out pretty well for Ford in the end. So listen to this, friends. Ford's determination had granted him yet another success. Learn as much as you can from this story and discover the principles to Henry Ford's success, one of which is his relentless desire towards his goals. Napoleon Hill drops a quote from William Ernest Hensley that states, "I am the master of my faith, the captain of my soul." And Napoleon Hill states that when Henley wrote that poetic quote, he should have said that we are the masters of our fate and the captains of our souls because we control our thoughts. He should have told us that thoughts hold universal power which can be used to shape our reality. Napoleon Hill continues by saying that the poets should have told us that we are the masters of our fate and the captains of our soul, with great emphasis that the power contained in our thoughts make no attempt to differentiate between constructive thoughts and destructive thoughts. So in both ways, what you think truly matters, whether it destroys you, whether it builds something up in you. What you think truly matters. And just as we can be exposed to thoughts of poverty and an urge to act on those thoughts is the same way we're exposed to thoughts of riches, and we also face the urge to act on those thoughts, like a simple act of making a YouTube video, starting up a business. So yeah, those little things that you can do, taking that first step, thinking that you can achieve it, thinking that, oh yeah, it might just be one video, but like one video and then another video and then another video and then another video, it compounds over time. The power of compounding. I think I'll treat that as a topic on its own. So yes, expose yourself to a success mindset. You'll win as long as you have the needed mindset and thoughts that drive you towards that goal. The first thing you should know is that our thoughts are a pathway towards what we want. Then we walk that path through our choices, and then we get to the finish line by our actions. These thoughts we hold in our mind act as magnets, attracting us to people, places, circumstances of life which are relative to the thoughts of our mind. To accumulate riches in great abundance, we must first magnetize our minds to the intense desire for riches, becoming completely money conscious, until that desire drives us to create plans for acquiring it. Now, as we edge closer to the conclusion of the first chapter, Napoleon Hill states that the principles contained in chapter 2 were gathered from life experiences of over 500 men, quite a lot, who started from poverty, had little to no education, without influence or whatever. He states that these principles can work for you. You, watching this video, watching me right now, it can work for you. And it isn't hard to apply. But it does take commitment. It does take a lot of commitment and discipline. So this next chapter contains factual information that has the capacity to entirely change your financial destiny. And Napoleon Hill witnessed firsthand as this principle was applied to the lives of two people who had a close relationship with him. The first person being his son, and the second being one of his closest personal friends. Napoleon Hill reminisces on when he was giving a commencement address almost 15 years ago at Salem College, West Virginia, in a speech which many today call the end of the rainbow. Napoleon Hill had emphasized the principle described in the next chapter with so much intensity that one of the members of the graduating class took it to heart and made it his philosophy. That young man went on to become an influential member of Congress, Jennings Randolph. He then went on to send Napoleon Hill a letter which he received just before this book was sent to the publisher. The contents of the letter consists of Jennings making a suggestion to Napoleon just before he sent the book, because Napoleon had already made the book and he was about to send it to the publisher to publish it. So it's very ironic, or let me say, solidifying there is, let me say solidifying, solidifies the fact that what Napoleon Hill tried to do was truly influential, which is why this book that we are reading or reviewing is still relevant today. So, in this letter sent by Jennings, he believed and had seen evidence in his own life that what Napoleon Hill had shared that day would give the people of America the opportunity to profit through many years of experience and association with the men who, by their greatness, had made America one of the richest nations on earth. Thank you for watching the end of episode 2 of MindSpire GDMF.